Chapter 836. It has always been President Mo's personal responsibility. She had a simple appearance and a simple style, but she had a solid foundation and true creative talent. The recording of Xinglan's performance was edited by netizens and circulated online. But the thing that made her famous was not her creativity and ability to improvise, but because she was the only person that directly advanced to the next round. This plain-looking contestant is quite talented. I rewatched the recordings of her performances in the earlier rounds. She previously stuck to a very modest path, but this time, she suddenly exploded onto the scene. This chick is quite cool. Has she signed with an agency yet? Because a lot of people paid attention to the competition, Xinglan had a small taste of fame. If Tangning had not changed her name or image, she may have already been identified as Li Zhen. Fortunately, it now took a lot more time to identify her. That night, Lin Qian decided to help Xinglan celebrate. I promised you earlier that I'd take you to see someone after you get into the top 100. Xinglan was more nervous now than during her competition. At this moment, she was actually sweating a little. What's wrong? Are you scared? Lin Qian held back her laughter while they were in the car. I can give you a few key words so you can try to guess who this person is, in case you get too shocked when you see her later. Quick, tell me. Model, actress, married. This isn't much of a hint. Xinglan rolled her eyes. Lin Qian laughed and did not say another word. Soon, the two women arrived at the agreed hotel. At this time, Tangning had also just arrived. Xinglan stood behind Tangning, and as soon as she saw her, she whispered to Lin Qian, "Is that Tangning? Is she the actress that retreated from the industry because she was involved in a death?" "Why are you asking?" Lin Qian asked. "You don't like her?" "To people like me, she is like an unreachable star. I like her attitude on life and the way she handles things. Her films are great. She married an extremely capable man and she's a hard worker. I think any normal person would like her, right?" "Lucky," Lin Qian responded. "What's lucky?" "Congratulations, she's your boss," Lin Qian said as she opened the door to the room that Tangning entered a step ahead of them. Xinglan was stunned as she stood dumbfounded in the doorway. She felt like she was in a dream. But, things felt even more surreal when she looked Tangning in the face. "Come in," Tangning said to the two women. Xinglan was surprised. This elegant woman was actually her boss. To be honest, this was not hard to guess. After all, Long Ji had already appeared earlier. But, it was understandable that Xinglan didn't know because no one knew that Long Ji was still working for Tangning. That, you can call me Ning Ji," Tangning said to Xinglan. "Congratulations for getting into the top 100. I never imagined." As Xinglan looked at Tangning close up, she felt that she looked 100 times more beautiful and gentle than she did on screen. "Are you going to continue being surprised like this?" Tangning said with a smile. Afterwards, she said to Xinglan, "Entering the top 100 means that Li Can will treat you even more ruthlessly. You need to prepare yourself for that problem to resurface." That problem was referring to Xinglan's alleged stealing. Xinglan's face immediately turned pale. "What should I do?" "You just need to endure it. Don't give up because of it. Leave everything else for Superstar Media to handle," Tangning replied. "You have no choice but to face it head on, even if it's a thorn in your heart." "Can you do it?" "No matter what happens, you can't break down." Xinglan looked at Tangning for quite some time. Dear God, this was her boss. Thinking of this, Xinglan's fear reduced by half. Although Xinglan didn't know her chances of beating Li Can, this matter was as simple as squishing an ant for Tangning, wasn't it? "I trust in you." Entering the top 100 means your battle has officially started. Don't let your guard down. You can't make a wrong move. At this time, Xinglan wasn't aware of the pressures that Tangning was facing. She simply thought that Tangning had high hopes for her. So, she promised herself that she'd win first place in order not to waste the second chance that Tangning had given her. The three women ate as they conversed and got along extremely well. As night hit, Tangning received a pushy call from President Mo. "Lin Qian, take good care of Xinglan. I'm going to go home first. Someone's awaiting downstairs." "Okay, Ning Ji." "Lin Qian, is that someone, President Mo?" Xinglan asked curiously. Lin Qian glanced at her. "Who else do you think it is?" Ning Ji's safety has always been President Mo's personal responsibility. How loving. As per Tangning's expectations, Li Kan's current intention was to reveal Shanglan's history of stealing to the public. She wasn't simply focused on causing trouble during the competition, she even convinced her parents to cause trouble. She only felt assured after she had this double guarantee. Afterwards, Li Kan revealed her plan to her manager. But, her manager was worried because of the warning that Long Ji had previously given them. Why don't you just let the beach compete? She might not necessarily get a good result. If you offend Hyrule, your future won't end well. Even if your sister debuts, she can't possibly be as famous as you. No, you don't know my sister. She's truly talented. If we don't stop her like 3 years ago, she will definitely win first place. Li Kan wasn't overreacting. Look at the way she entered the top 100, isn't it obvious? Between the two of us, only one can survive. I have no choice. Her manager took a deep breath and nodded her head. Okay, we'll do as you say. But, this will be the last time. If you don't succeed this time, you need to stop. Otherwise, you will eventually ruin yourself. Li Kan nodded. She was sure that Xinglan wouldn't be able to endure the pain from this scandal. She was an ambitious person, but this scandal was going to label her as a thief. But, Li Kan was even more despicable than this. To guarantee the success of her plan, she gave her parents a phone call. Dad, Sis is participating in a competition. If the news of her being a thief gets revealed, what would happen to our family's pride? The two of you better stop her. Otherwise, I will also be destroyed. I've always had a lot of enemies. If they were to find out that my thief sister is parading around, I will definitely be implicated. After hearing this, Father Li almost had a heart attack. This animal, is she trying to kill me with anger? I'll go speak to her. She has an extremely capable manager at the moment. Be careful, Li Kan warned with good intentions. Don't worry, Kan, your father knows what to do. Chapter 837, How did Ningji do it? They were both their daughters and they were twins. So, for parents to be biased to this extent, was extremely shameless. But, Shanglan was also someone that had embarrassed them. So, the two elders avoided their daughter like the plague. To be exact, they kept her under surveillance. Because, while they avoided her, they were also afraid that she'd do something even more embarrassing. Hence, no matter how Li Kan treated her sister, the two elders did not think it was wrong. In fact, they felt that Li Kan was very thoughtful for taking responsibility of Li Zhen. The elders had been living a luxurious life because of their songstress daughter, so they couldn't allow someone to ruin it. As soon as they heard Li Kan say that Shanglan was participating in a competition, the two elders felt their hearts tighten. Shanglan explained her situation with her parents to Lin Qian. Since Li Kan had begun to cause trouble, her parents were definitely not far behind. After the top 100 is officially announced, the nature of the competition will change. You will need to attend a meeting about it later, Lin Qian explained as she looked at the email sent by the organizers. But, Shanglan's mind seemed to be elsewhere. What's wrong? Ningji asked me to endure the attacks from the public. That's easy, I can do that. But, I'm afraid of my parents. They are ruthless people. They were blood related, so it was very different to strangers. Even if she didn't care, how would the public view her? Her parents had obviously never upheld their responsibility as parents. There's no point being afraid. Whatever will be, will be. Ningji will help you handle it. Don't worry, she's an expert and she's already given me thorough instructions. Lin Qian then handed her phone to Xinglan. Look through the email yourself. I'm not going to read it to you. Xinglan wanted to believe in Tangning, but she had already dealt with the cruel couple for so many years that she didn't think anyone could subdue them. Lin Qian could tell that Xinglan was still worried. But, when it came to matters like this, one had to witness it firsthand to know that Tangning could handle whatever rubbish was thrown her way. Tangning had never been one to sit idly by. So, when it came to Xinglan's parents, she preferred to take the initiative. While the two elders were deciding how to cause trouble for Xinglan, Tangning sent someone to invite the couple to a dinner at a 5-star hotel. Of course, Long Ji was the most suitable person for this task. Miss Long, where are you taking us? Mother Li asked curiously. Long Ji did not say a thing as she delivered the two elders to the hotel, where they could eat and drink to their heart's content. This was treatment that the couple had never experienced. That night, Mother Lee also received a $1 million check from Long Ji. Your daughter asked me to give you a gift. Kinner is so good to us. The two elders were extremely satisfied as they repeatedly praised Lee Kan. However, Long Ji had to discourage them at this time. I'm sorry, but all that you're enjoying today, including this check, is from your elder daughter, Xinglan, also known as Li Zhen. The two elders were shocked. Xinglan is a filial person. After she signed with a good agency, she decided to give her first paycheck to you and did not pocket a single cent for herself, Long Ji added. Also, she mentioned that she'd buy a house overseas if she wins first place because it's her parents' biggest wish. Uncle, Auntie, I know you have another daughter, Li Kan, who is currently known as the Queen of Ballads. But, to be honest, what has she done for you over the years? Xinglan has mentioned the disagreement between her and her sister, and we have done some investigation into it. We discovered that Li Kan has been scheming against her sister because she doesn't want her to win first place. By saying this, you might think that I am driving a wedge between you, but I hope you can look at the situation objectively. Xinglan spoke to me already. If you guys need anything, you can always contact me. She told me that she believes her parents are temporarily blinded by her sister's lies and that your intentions aren't truly bad. If Xinglan wins the competition this time, her future will not be limited to being a singer in a small agency. She may end up signing with a top-class agency. Is this something that Li Kan can do? I know that the two of you dug into your savings to buy Li Kan a house because you want to live with her. But uncle, if you don't believe me, you should give it a try. I bet Li Kan will find a reason to shrug you off. I'm sure the two of you know what to do. If you need anything, let me know. I'll leave it at this for now. After speaking, Long Ji boarded her car and left. The two elders looked at the check in their hands with mixed emotions. Mother Lee immediately pulled out her phone and gave Li Kan a phone call. Kan, Mom, what's wrong? Li Kan thought her mother had already spoken to Xinglan and was waiting for the good news. I wanted to ask if you've finished with the renovations on the house that we helped you buy. Your father and I are planning to move over and live there for a few days. Mom, the house is still being renovated. It's already been half a year. Hasn't it finished yet? Mother Lee asked. It takes a while to renovate, Li Kan lied. Either way, aren't you and Dad living well at home? If you want to spend some time together, I can check my schedule to see if I have any free time. No need. Mother Lee immediately hung up the phone angrily. Xinglan had just signed a contract and she already gave them $1 million. In contrast, Li Kan wouldn't even let them stay at her place for a few days. They must have been blind in the past. Old man, I think Zinner is genuinely a good daughter. This money is enough for us to place a deposit on another house. Plus, her management agency seems to be quite rich. On the other hand, didn't Kinner say that her agency is stealing her money? Father Lee snorted. We supported that conniving fox for nothing. I bet she's deliberately keeping her income a secret from us. What should we do now? It looks like Kinner wants to prevent her sister from advancing in the competition and wants to use us as cannon fodder. In that case, we will just let Miss Long clarify what happened 3 years ago and let Zinner win first place. After all, she is more filial and more promising. Okay, it's decided then. Like this, the two elders ended up changing sides. Long Ji had given them enough benefits and these two were easy to deal with because they were blinded by their own interests. Afterwards, Lin Qian received a message from Long Ji. They've been dealt with. Don't worry. These two may even help Xinglan in the long term. It's perfect. Lin Qian showed Long Ji's message to Xinglan. Feel better? Your parents are now on your side. How did Ning Ji do it? Xinglan was surprised her parents were greedy and shameless. A mastermind will naturally have a plan. Chapter 838. Her first place. Li Kan waited and waited, but she didn't hear anything from her parents about Xinglan. As a result, she curiously dissected the situation with her manager. According to the damaging power of my parents, destroying Xinglan should be a piece of cake. Why haven't they made a move yet? Call them and check. My mother called about staying with me for a few days and I brushed her off. You currently need their help. Can't you just appease them for a while? Her manager was a little surprised. Is there something wrong with your brain? I know what I should do, but it's embarrassing if someone captures photos of us living together. Li Kan replied, I don't care, I'm giving them a call to see what's going on. After speaking, Li Kan pulled out her phone, but this time, she ended up calling her father instead of her mother. Dad, how's the matter with sis going? Your mother and I are trying to think of a plan, Father Li lied. We're just average people. It's not easy to get close to Li Zhen. Dad, don't blame me for being ruthless towards Li Zhen. If her past gets revealed, our entire family will be implicated. Li Kan deliberately manipulated her father by triggering his pride. We understand, Father Li said before he hung up, but he was so angry that he almost smashed the phone on the floor. This animal only knows how to check if we've ruined her sister yet. What a heartless wench. Old man, what should we do now? Mother Li asked. Give Miss Long a phone call. Li Kan was now an eyesore for Father Li. The child that they previously considered as promising, was suddenly a cruel, scheming wench that plotted against her own family. So, Father Li called Long Ji and asked her what to do next. Long Ji could tell that the elders had taken her bait. So, she decided to increase their misunderstanding. Uncle, just wait. Li Kan is actually the daughter that will end up embarrassing you. In order to oppose her sister and prevent her from winning the competition, she is going to personally expose the past. Just wait and see. She wouldn't dare. If she does decide to do it, then Uncle should pretend to help her and we will take the opportunity to clear Shanglan's name. If she is to win the competition, she can't have any black marks against her. After Father Li received Long Ji's instructions, he nodded his head. If Li Kan dare to make a move, he was going to throw everything out there. He was going to disown this daughter and help Li Zhen instead. In the end, as expected, Li Kan could not be restrained. The list for top 100 had already been announced, but Li Kan hadn't heard from the old couple. As a result, she decided to trail them. She discovered that they had indeed gone looking for Shanglan and tried to cause trouble. But, Shanglan's powerful manager hired some bodyguards, making it impossible for them to see her. In reality, this was all pre-planned by Long Ji. The entire aim was to bait Li Kan. That night, Li Kan gave her parents another phone call. Since the two of you can't do anything about her, I'll have to take matters into my own hands. What are you planning to do? I will need to rely on my contacts to notify the organizers of the competition about my sister's history of stealing. It will force them to deal with her internally and disqualify her. That way, we won't be implicated. But, no one has identified your sister yet. Identifying her is only a matter of time, Li Kan warned. I'm going to hang up now. I am determined to stick to my plan. What a monster. Father Li finally saw the real Li Kan. Li Kan simply didn't want her sister to be more successful than her. Old man, since Miss Long has already made arrangements, let's do as she has instructed. Okay, the old couple came to an agreement. After this incident is over, we'll go take the house back. I'd rather let a dog live in there than to let a piece of trash occupy it. It turned out, forming a united front was actually quite easy to achieve. Meanwhile, Li Kan decided to reveal Shanglan's past before the top 100 round began so she'd have no chance of redemption. Unfortunately, everyone was already on Shanglan's side. So, there was a good show on its way. Are you really planning to do this? Li Kan's manager was worried. She still felt things weren't going to end well. When the time comes, I am going to deny any involvement with her so I won't be implicated. Li Kan scoffed. Her, first place? She should first consider who she's up against. After the top 100 list was released, Shanglan gathered with the other contestants to hear the new rules of the competition. Following on, they would go from 100 contestants to 64 with no second chances and eliminations would be decided by popularity with votes from the public. It finally felt like the real competition had started. As a result, Shanglan suddenly felt stressed. Don't be nervous. At least, after that matter is over, you won't have any external obstructions and you can focus on the competition. Are you sure that Li Kan will go ahead with her plan? Why not? Li Kan asked. This is her only chance to destroy you. In that case, she is very pitiful. With Tang Ning's arrangements in place, Shanglan was confident that her name would finally be cleared. All she had to put up with was initial backlash. But as soon as her innocence was proven, she knew she would receive the same amount of sympathy as the amount of suffering she was experiencing now. Soon, Long Ji received information from her contacts and gave Tang Ning a phone call. It had been a long time since Tang Ning had seen a good show and she was getting bored. If Li Kan wanted to perform, she wasn't stopping her. Prepare for our counterattack. In particular, make sure that Xinglan's parents are ready. Don't worry. We have everything in the palm of our hands. Good. Luo Xing also has good news. The director took him under his wing and has been taking him to many different events. He has now learned to negotiate his own contracts. Let Luo Xing know that Superstar Media will always support him no matter if he succeeds or fails, Tang Ning instructed. Also, make sure to help him fight for Fate Yan Award next year. Okay. Lastly, after the incident with Li Kan is resolved, it should be time for Superstar Media to face the world. Tang Ning's babies could already walk. Although they weren't perfect in it yet, it still felt like the right time for her to take back what belonged to her. This time, no one would get the chance to knock her down like Susan did. This was the scene that Long Ji had anticipated for a long time, especially when she thought about how her mother-in-law had turned up demanding for Lu Che's sperm. She would never forget that humiliation. So, she knew, only when she improved on herself, would she deserve respect from others. By this time, Li Kan had already contacted the paparazzi and typed out a spectacular story. She even thought of an interesting headline. Former thief battles the stage again, changes name as a cover-up. In reality, she wanted to be simple and crude and directly point Xinglan out as a thief. But, the paparazzi felt that she should tone it back and not force her sister into a corner. Ha ha. Force her into a corner. Even the paparazzi knew that a story like this can ruin a person. Chapter 839, let's see if she would still dare to compete. Who's Xinglan? She is the contestant in the recent singing competition that directly advanced to top 100. Oh, what happened with her? Apparently, she was disqualified 3 years ago from a singing competition because she stole from the organizers. Who would have thought, 3 years later, she'd compete again with a different name. So she's a thief? How could she advance with a dark past like that? She must be shameless. She thought people wouldn't recognize her if she changed her name and appearance, but she ended up being discovered anyway. This is what you call karma. This was not the first time that a contestant of a competition-style program had a scandal. Over the years, it had happened many times. But, this was Xinglan's second time being the protagonist of a scandal and appearing on the news. So, the internet erupted with complaints. After all, thieves were especially hated in society and many people were strongly deterred by it. She's the sister of Li Kan, the queen of ballads. How could the two sisters be so different? Li Kan's so talented. How could she have such an embarrassing sister? No matter the reason, I refuse to support a thief. Li Zhen should get lost. Get lost. Don't tarnish the stage. These were the attacks and pressures that Tang Ning wanted Xinglan to endure. As a result, an old wound had been reopened. Xinglan originally thought that after it has been previously healed over, it wouldn't hurt as much the second time around, but it was just as bad as before. Seeing Xinglan looking a little upset, Lin Qiang patted her on the shoulder and comforted. This will only last for a little while. Don't be afraid. Li Kan must be laughing in glee, Xinglan said as she held back her tears. I really didn't steal anything. I didn't, whether it was 3 years ago or now. I would never take anything that belongs to someone else. We know. There was no other way. If she wanted to clear her name, she had to reopen her wounds. Although doing this would cause Xinglan a second round of pain, it would also give her a second chance at life. It didn't take long before the incident escalated online. Eventually, the netizens came to a consensus that Xinglan should withdraw from the competition and no longer appear in the public eye. As a result, the program was also affected and the staff began to have conflicting responses. But, President Mo had previously instructed Lu Che to maintain the fairness of the competition. So, the staff were ultimately told that a decision would be made after a thorough investigation was held. However, the internet was in an uproar. Why would they care about the truth? They didn't believe that it was just a groundless rumor. If someone made an accusation about someone, then they must have done something wrong to deserve it. As a famous songstress was involved, the reporters quickly contacted Li Kan not too long after. At first, due to Li Kan's various excuses, she did not respond and turned the reporters away empty-handed. But, that was a part of her plan. Not responding meant she was agreeing. As a result, the public's attacks became more and more intense. In the end, she was afraid that the reporters would lose their patience, so she finally accepted an interview with them. "Miss Lee, we would like to ask you about your sister's history of stealing." "It's true," Lee Kin replied straightforwardly. "My sister is still young. I hope everyone can give her a chance and stop harassing her." "She will withdraw from the competition." "Withdraw? Who agreed to that?" "But, why were you avoiding this topic before?" the reporters asked. "I was waiting for my sister to confess." "But, she still hasn't, so I have no choice but to reveal everything on behalf of her," Lee Kin said indifferently. "Wrong is wrong. You can't cover up the truth by changing your name and appearance." "That's what I believe. There's a fine distinction between right and wrong." "I also hope that everyone can give my sister some space." "Thank you." Lee Kin's revelation was huge. She hinted that Shanglan denied any wrongdoing and tried to hide the truth by changing her identity. Most importantly, she made herself appear level-minded, while Shanglan was portrayed as a coward that not only stole but also refused to admit to her faults. God, does Li Zhen know shame? This Shanglan, even if she does cosmetic surgery, it won't be able to hide the fact that she has sticky fingers. I wonder if she'll still be brave enough to compete. Would she be brave enough? Why not? Meanwhile, Tang Ning had already instructed Lin Qian to contact the organizers of the competition, and everyone was made aware of the show that was currently playing out. So, before the commencement of the next round, they organized for Shanglan to attend all events as normal. But, before everyone knew the truth, the director reminded Lin Qian, "Take good care of Shanglan, she's very talented." Before everything gets clarified, she will definitely be rejected by the public. You will need to protect her well. "You don't need to worry about this," Lin Qian smiled cryptically at the director. "Superstar Media will take responsibility for her until the end." "Good, I can relax then. After Shanglan's innocence gets proven, I won't have to worry about the ratings." "You sure know how to tell a joke, Director." "Which one of your programs aren't a ratings guarantee?" Seeing that Lin Qian was quite a sweet talker, the director laughed. After all, he had already spotted the benefit in the situation. This time, Lin Qian headed to the television studio on her own to explain on behalf of Shanglan. When she left the house, she was immediately surrounded by reporters. Of course, she also had the intention to be captured on camera by them. "That's Shanglan's manager, Lin Qian. She's coming out. That's Quan Zai's sister. Hurry." Lin Qian was prepared to be put in a difficult position. Of course, she had wanted to experience the power of the media's cameras for a long time. "Lin Qian, as Shanglan's manager, what have you got to say?" "It's already been 10 hours since the scandal broke out. It's time you give a response." "A response?" Lin Qian smirked at the mention of this word. "I would like to thank the reporters for their support towards Shanglan. We have seen the attacks from the public, but we are confident that everyone will receive a thorough face slap. If you think our Shanglan is a thief, do you have any evidence?" "But, Li Qian, please don't mention this name in front of me." 3 years ago, Li Qian participated in a singing competition with her sister and personally reported her sister for theft just before she was about to be awarded. As a result, Shanglan was labeled a thief, while Li Qian went home with first place and became known as the Queen of Ballads. I hope everyone can pass on the message to Li Qian that the truth isn't far. I also hope that the reporters will continue to follow this matter. As soon as Lin Qian said this, the reporters realized the extra layer of meaning to her words. She was hinting that Li Qian had framed her sister because she coveted the throne. Oh God, so the matter wasn't as simple as it appeared on the surface. Was Shanglan actually innocent, and was the actual culprit Li Qian? Chapter 840, Out of the two sisters, which one was the thief? So, out of the two sisters, which one is the thief? According to Lin Qian, Li Qian stole her sister's victory a few years ago. She must have felt uncomfortable seeing her sister participate in another competition, so she decided to reveal her sister's past to everyone again. How dare she try to act level-minded? If this is the truth, then Li Qian is much too cruel and frightening. It's obvious to everyone that Li Zhen is talented. She never had any motive for stealing. As a fan that watched the competition 3 years ago, This is what I truly feel. Where's the proof? Does anyone have evidence to prove it? I think, in this whole matter, Lee Sin is more worthy of sympathy. Underdogs always attracted empathy. Lee Kin never expected that Lee Ki-on would say such words in public. As she began to watch public opinion sway online, she clenched her teeth in anger. I told you before that you'd be sacrificing yourself just to hurt your enemy, but you wouldn't listen to me. Now that you've gotten yourself into deep trouble, are you happy? Lee Kan's manager asked beside her ear. Your only option now is to produce evidence and pay for fake comments. Something you shouldn't have had to do initially. I can't let that wench debut. Mind your own business, Lee Kan said recklessly. It's bad enough that you're not helping me. Stop talking nonsense beside my ear and making me uncomfortable. In that case, I'll leave then, the manager said angrily as she left Lee Kan's apartment. Lee Kan knew there was no point being angry. 3 years ago, she was the one that testified against Lee Sin and placed the stolen item in her bag. When it was discovered, Lee Sin had nothing to say. As long as Lee Kan clung to this fact, Lee Sin would never have a chance at revival. So, she personally stepped forward and said to the public, if we look back at the incident, all the contestants at the time can testify that I had no reason to slander my sister. I also felt guilty about the incident for a long time, but we indeed found this stolen item in her bag. All the witnesses can prove it. As soon as Lee Kan's explanation was released, Lin Ki-on immediately fought back. Xing Lan and Lee Kan are twins, so their appearance is the same. If Lee Kan stole something and placed it in her sister's bag, no one would notice a thing. After all, no outsider can differentiate between them. What do you think, Lee Kan? Beach. Lee Kan threw her tablet on the floor in anger after she saw Lin Ki-on's response. She couldn't believe that there were actually people online that supported Lin Ki-on and Xing Lan. 3 years ago, I competed with Lee Sin. She is a kind person that would never steal from others. On the other hand, Lee Kan is full of possessiveness and ambition and is easy to hate. In any case, I will believe the person that can produce evidence. I'm on Lee Sin's side. I'm on the younger sister's side. The entire internet was debating about the two sisters and which one they believed to be the real thief, as it was a very controversial topic. One was the much-loved queen of ballads, while the other was an up-and-coming new singer. The two women were twins and each had convincing arguments. Even though the stolen item was recovered from Xing Lan's bag, the mystery was in the fact that the sisters looked exactly the same. If one wanted to frame the other, it was much too easy. Lee Kan knew that it was difficult to win public opinion based on her one-sided claim, so she needed to call for backup. Her parents. The news of Lee Sin being a thief had turned into a huge scandal and the Lee family's pride had been destroyed. She wanted to see how her parents were planning to deal with the wench. With this thought, Lee Kan called her parents emotionally. When Father Lee saw that the phone call was from Lee Kan, he refused to pick it up. So, he handed it to Mother Lee instead. Although Mother Lee didn't want to give her despicable daughter any attention, she couldn't ruin Long Ji's plan, so she picked up anyway. Kanner. Mom, did you see what they wrote online? Lee Sin was obviously the thief, yet she slandered me for framing her. You need to get justice for me. Lee Kan pretended to sob so her mother would pity her. But, how did this matter suddenly get exposed? Mother Lee asked. Lee Kan froze. I'm not sure, Mom. I haven't had time to contact the organizers yet. I don't know what happened either. Perhaps someone recognized Lee Sin. Lee Kan lied. Either way, Mom, this is not the main point right now. The main point is, Sis slandered me. You should help me get justice. How do you want me to help you? Mother Lee asked. You know that the stolen item was found in Lee Sin's bag. Just tell the media what you know. Otherwise, our family will be finished. Okay, how do you want me to do it? My management agency is arranging an interview to clarify the matter. When the time comes, the two of you will also be invited. I hope you can help me, Lee Kan said. Okay. Mother Lee immediately replied. I knew you've always treated me the best, Mom. I'll call you later then. Lee Kan had probably turned crazy from her ambition to win, so she treated everyone like fools. Father Lee sat to the side and listened to the conversation between the two women. After Mother Lee hung up the phone, he coldly snorted. Does she still expect me to help her? Old man, we definitely need to speak up. But, No one would be able to predict who they were going to speak up for. Lee Kan had no self-awareness. She even wanted to use her parents. To be exact, she had already used them for many years. However, she would have never expected that her parents wouldn't be so easy to fool this time. With mom and dad helping me, let's see if you can still survive. Lee Kan was full of confidence as she called her manager. Although the two women had an argument over a small disagreement, they were still on the same team. If one fell, the other would go down with them, so they still needed to agree on the big things. I've already asked my parents to testify for me, so now it's up to you to arrange an interview. I hope this will be the last time. After her manager was done talking, she hung up the phone without hesitation. She was honestly tired. After all, Lee Kan never listened to her. Soon after, Long Ji heard from the Lee elders that Lee Kan had accepted an interview, which meant the game was reaching its climax. Lee Kan would have never expected that inviting her parents to testify for her would end up being the worst decision of her life. At a time like this, no one wanted to help her. Out of the two sisters, which one was the thief? Probably, the entire Beijing wanted to know this answer. So, Lee Kan released word that she'd be presenting evidence to everyone. But, what about Xinglan? The level of excitement produced by the argument between these two sisters is no less than the argument between Tang Ning and Tang Xuan in the past.
Hit the like, thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening.